Everybody, it's Chris Smithian over at Loan Depot, and this is our 5th episode of our new series, Business Planning for Loan Officers. And so this is our execution episode, and this is where the rubber is going to hit the road. So last week we talked about building strategies, and we talked about, we called that the dream episode, because this was the episode where you really had the ability to be inspired to go out and just dream up all the ideas that you wanted to put together for your plan. Today, we're going to talk about how to take some of those ideas and really put some meat behind them and put actionable activities against those strategies. So I told you to think about some ideas. Some of those ideas were social media strategy and branding. Some of the ideas were listing agent strategies, open house strategies, closing gift strategies, and you came up with all these ideas, and I recommended that you pick 3 of those ideas that really resonated with you and that you got excited about. And today we're going to take one of those ideas and help you build a plan. So let's look at the idea of the listing agent strategy. And so the first step that I would have you take is ask yourself, if you implement a listing agent strategy, will that help you get more credit pulls? Will those extra credit pulls help you get more deals in your pipeline? And with more deals in the pipeline, does it help you fund more deals and then ultimately hitting your overall goal? And if the answer is yes, and I think it is, then let's do a listing agent strategy. So today, I'm gonna help you put together that strategy, so let's get to it. The first step is set up an implementation date. So in this case, I'm gonna say go with 1/1/2020. And then because you haven't had this strategy before, I would recommend not waiting till you have a closing, but actually going backwards. So the first step would be identifying all the clients that you closed in 2019 and then identifying all the listing agents. And then once you've identified all the listing agents, then you want to start the process of determining the requirements of the agents that you want to work with. Hopefully now most loan officers have access to MTA. Hopefully you have access to MTA. MTA will tell you who they're using, how many list sides and buy sides they have, how many transactions they've had over any period of time that you want to know. But that'll help you determine which agents you want to work with. And so once you have identified the agents that you want to work with, then you can start researching those agents. Find them on social media, engage with them there, make sure that you're friends with them, and get ready to create an outreach campaign. So the identifying of the agents and really engaging with those agents, I would recommend that this happens 15 days from your implementation date with a due date of 1/15/2020. So all in, you want to generate your list, you want to identify who you want to work with, and you want to do this by 1/15. Okay, the next step is you want to create an outreach strategy for each of these agents that you haven't connected with. This could be by phone, it could be by text, via social media, Facebook Messenger, LinkedIn, all the avenues that you know that it's going to take to get you a connection with this realtor is hugely important. Part of my job as a recruiter is connecting with loan officers, and sometimes text message isn't enough. I have to hit them up on Facebook. I have to hit them up on LinkedIn. It's a number of different things to get them to connect. But once you do, you have to find that excuse to get them into the room with you to have a meeting to talk about the value proposition that you can add to them as a loan officer. And one of the really good examples to use right now is calling realtors and saying, what do you plan to do for 2020? What is your goal? And so the pro tip is use a 2020 business planning as a good excuse to get them in a room with you. The second piece is have a goal to connect with all of these agents one way or another by a very specific date. We said by January 1st, you would implement a program. We said by January 15th, you would actually have a target list. And by January 31st, you should have connected and engaged, or at least tried to engage with all of these realtors. And by then, you should start to see some activity happening with appointments. And then the last thing is, I would create a weekly drip to all of these realtors that are in your sphere with valuable content like market data, valuable content like product information, or even letting them know that you're working a weekend. Why do you want to let them know you're working the weekend? Because that's when humans are out shopping for properties. So I think that's a really good time for you to engage with your realtors at the end of the week, every week. So next week, we're going to be talking about how to take all of this information and put it on paper. And so one of the things that you notice that I did with each of these activities is I put very specific dates on them. Because if you have a very specific due date on them, then it's going to require you to actually take action by a specific time. And once you do that, you will see your pipeline start to grow. You will see credit pulls start to happen. It'll be a really exciting time for you, and you'll hit the goals that we set out in front of you. If any of this information doesn't make sense or you want to go deeper on some of it, I would be absolutely open to helping anyone. Just reach out to me and we'll talk about it even further. I hope that you watch next week's episode. That's where we're going to talk about putting all of this on paper, and I think it'll be really fun. process. It's a really simple process. I think one of the main things that people have a hard time with in building their business plan is, what does my format need to look like? And I'm going to show you that next week. So I'm looking forward to talking to you. Thank you for joining. We'll be talking to you soon. Take care.